Yeah, in fact, positive is one of the three words that we've just got from the Chinese delegation. Basically, they say the talks have wrapped up and positive, constructive, and fruitful. Now, we don't know whether those talks will head into Saturday or whether there'll be a break. The teams will go to Beijing, consult. But it does seem in the last few hours or so that there is some positivity. For example, we're going to play you a clip now of Larry Kudlow, the advisor, economic advisor to U.S. President Trump. And he says the president in the last 24 hours has really started to feel quite positive about the whole thing.
The president was probably more optimistic yesterday on this subject than I've seen him in this whole process. China's come to trade. They are meeting many of our demands. There's no deal yet, to be sure, and it's going to probably take a while. It's a process.
So what would a deal look like? As you know, U.S. President Trump has fixated on the trade deficit between the U.S. and China and has asked for a reduction of $200 billion by 2020. Now, China has said, look, it's willing to buy more U.S. products, but would like to buy high-end technology products, while the U.S. is moving to potentially cut off Chinese investment and buying of that. So there could be a deal on that. The question is the figure and whether you need a figure. So this is Larry Kudlow again, sort of pointing out from the U.S. side where they think this deal may be going. Let's take a listen.
Be at least $200 billion on the trade gap. Some of the areas that are easier, energy, farming, for example, much easier. I think financial services. This is important. They have to lower their tariff rates. They have to lower their non-tariff barriers. And we have to have a verifiable process whereby the technology transfers and the theft of property, intellectual property, stops.
So the details still looks like to be hammered out, but it could be that there could be a framework so far. And we've seen an improved climate as well. ZTE, the telecoms manufacturer who was banned from buying U.S. components for 7 years here after breaking a deal over sanctions busting to Iran and the DPRK. Well, there's talk of other remedies that would keep ZTE in business. As you know, Chinese officials stopped an anti-dumping case on sorghum, the agricultural products that's used in animal feed, and baijiu, alcohol. That's created a better environment. There's smoother regulation of a couple of chip deals going through. So at the periphery of these talks, there is more of a positive feeling in Beijing and Washington. Whether that will translate into a final deal, we don't know. But this is the best sort of news I think we've heard in months.
Yeah, so Nathan, what's next? The Chinese delegation is expected to head back to Beijing this weekend. Could we see another last-minute meeting tomorrow, perhaps?
I haven't got any information on that at the moment, but there is no full stop, no period yet on these negotiations. We'll have to wait and see. But it has to, things could move quickly. This is the problem. If there isn't a deal, remember the $50 billion worth of Chinese goods that could be slapped with a 25% tariff, that could come into effect the next few days. And there's another list of $100 billion being drawn up by the U.S. And of course, China said it would counter every single one of those moves. There's even suggestions due next week from the U.S. Treasury about cutting Chinese investment in high tech as well. So if that process starts, it might be difficult to unwind and get back to the positive, fruitful, constructive talks as the Chinese delegation have happened over the last few hours. So fingers crossed.